This is the second long exam feedback for disease prevention and control in the family and the community. So the answer to number one is letter B. The A refers to adaptation. The A adaptation refers to satisfaction with how the family shares resources during crises. Number two, letter B. Uh, Community-oriented interventions address social determinants. For example, food insecurity. Number three, the answer is also letter B. Time constraints. Uh, Busy clinical settings may limit thorough psychosocial assessments. Number four, coping skills are part of your psychological factors, including your emotions, behaviors, and coping mechanisms. Okay. So number five, the answer is chronic disease management because chronic illnesses like type 2 diabetes mellitus, cancer, um, chronic lung diseases benefit from addressing psychosocial and biological factors. Number six, the answer is stage 8D because stage 8 spans retirement to death, aging family members. Number seven, the answer is enhanced patient adherence, letter B. This method improves engagement by exploring patient motivations for behavior change. For number eight, the answer is social. Health literacy is influenced by education and cultural context for your social determinants. Okay. For number nine, the answer is systems theory. Engel's model views health as an interplay of interacting biological, psychological, and social systems. Number 10, the answer is B, stress reactivity. These are biological factors that include genetic, physiological, and neurochemical processes. Number 11, initial diagnosis reaction. Phase 2 involves emotional and practical responses to a new diagnosis. Number 12, the answer is understanding patient values. Culturally sensitive care integrates patient beliefs in social contexts. Number 13, the answer is biobehavioral family model or letter B. The BBFM evaluates emotional dynamics, including the parental relationship quality. Number 14 is letter D, the lack of multidisciplinary collaboration. Effective biopsychosocial care often requires teamwork with social workers, therapists, etc. And that is usually a challenge, a barrier because of either the lack or um, the time to coordinate with the various members of the multidisciplinary team. Number 15, the answer is A, offer holistic patient-centered care. The biopsychosocial model aims to treat the whole person and not just the symptoms. Number 16, the answer is moderately dysfunctional, which is moderately dysfunctional based on the scoring system. Sorry, let me just look that up. I will pause. Okay, based on the scoring system of the APGAR, it is 6 and it is moderately dysfunctional. Same for number 17, letter B, moderately inadequate family resources. If you look at the Screen Family Resources Survey, a score of 10 is letter B. Uh, Number 18, the answer is letter D, the last child leaves home. The empty nest refers to a family life cycle phase that begins when the last child leaves home, usually for college, work, or marriage. The parents transition from an active parenting role to a couple-centered lifestyle once again uh, during the early days of their marriage, often facing emotional and social adjustments. Number 19, a complete genogram includes a family at least 3 generations. Okay, so at least 3 generations, not just two. Okay, sige. Number 20, the answer is letter A. The family map is a tool used to visualize family structure, relationships, and dynamics. It helps healthcare providers understand the roles, communication patterns, emotional connections, and support systems within the family that can influence a patient's health and care. Okay? Okay, so next, number 21, that is letter B, family with young children. Um, family with young children. Children grow and begin school. Letter number 22, Mr. and Mrs. EDP deal with the egress of their children. So that is letter E, launching family. So children begin to leave the home. AAA and BBB form their own marital system after dating for 5 years. That is a newly married couple. A newly married couple marries or forms a committed partnership. The task is to establish their home, adjust to married life, plan for children, develop communication, and shared goals. And then for number 24, the answer is C, family with adolescents. Teenagers seek independence. So for number 25, I hope the past slide is all right. I did hear that I was able to answer number 24. But anyway, for number 25, the answer is letter D, adjustment to permanency of outcomes. Adjustment phase is when the family has learned to adapt schedules and roles around the patient's ongoing needs. Number 26 is the impact phase. Impact phase is when a family seeks doctor shopping for other opinions. Number 27, the answer is major therapeutic efforts. Major therapeutic efforts is the stage when active treatment for the illness is underway and the family is fully engaged in managing the disease. For number 28, an emotional process of transition or key principle in this stage of the family life cycle is accepting parent-offspring separation. The answer is uh, unattached young adults. Okay? So, yes, it's a transition period. Okay? Number 29, the answer is letter C, major therapeutic B, major therapeutic efforts. Major therapeutic efforts is the stage when active treatment for the illness is underway. Family is fully engaged in managing the disease. For number 30, the answer is letter A, which is a 20-year-old college sophomore turns her bedridden grandmother every 2 hours to prevent development of pressure decubitus ulcers or sacral decubital ulcers or pressure sores. There is a change in role. The grandmother used to take care of the uh, younger family member. Now it's the younger family member taking care of the grandmother. So that's a second order change, the switching in roles. For number 31, the answer is level 2. Level 1 has no distribution system. Level 3 distributes into individual households. And there is no level 4. Number 32, the answer is letter B. The keyword here is immediate. All the others can indeed happen over a protracted period of time due to the rain and rapid rise of sea levels that can cause drowning if people are unprepared. The number 33, the once a year minimum frequency, is applicable to level 1 and 2, level 2 and 3, level 1, 2 and 3, and emergency supplies. But more frequent testing is required for water refilling stations and water vending machines, so usually twice a year. For number 34, the answer is letter A. Because first and foremost, policies and implementation is wrong because solid waste management falls under RA 9003. Uh, the national government holds primary responsibility, which is letter D, is wrong because the matter is multi-stakeholder, but the main point entity is the local government unit. The estimated volume of waste generation, which is letter C, it is wrong because the volume of waste has increased steadily. Okay? Then the best formula for solid waste management, number 35, the correct components of 4R are reduce, recycle, reuse, recover. Okay? That is in the lecture. The correct answer for number 36 is C. Again, referring to the law, it's 300 to 1,000 pesos fine or jail sentence of 1 to 15 days. Okay? For number 37, the answer is low and middle income countries are primarily affected. In 2016, particulate matter pollution is an environment health problem that affects people worldwide, usually the low and middle income countries, according to the WHO. And particulate matter that falls in size from 2.5 micrometers to 10 micrometers is silica. The rest are finer, okay? The rest are fine particulate matter, so that's your nitrates, carbon, and ammonia. Okay? The answer for number 39 is letter A. It is RA 8749 and it was promulgated in 1999. Okay? Number 40, the answer, second largest greenhouse sector is agricultural practices. According to the climate impacts tracker for the Philippines. Number 41, when trees are cut down, all of the above happens. Okay. 14. So there is a decline in total forest area, obviously. There is a threat to biodiversity because of loss of habitat, and as well as effects on climate regulation because of the capability of forests, particularly rainforest, in sequestering carbon dioxide, which is a greenhouse gas. Okay. Meanwhile, over 10 million people will be affected or displaced by sea level rise by the year 2100. Estimated, to be more precise, is 13.6 million people. Okay. So for number 43, real-life application of a question, Super Typhoon Nando was so named because as a super typhoon, it had extreme velocity winds. Okay? For number 44, which of the following terms? The answer, of course, is sewage. Okay? Sewage is the wastewater carried off by sewer drains and pipes, while excreta refers to the waste products of the human digestive system, including feces and urine, while sewerage refers to the physical facilities such as pipes, lift stations, and treatment and disposal facilities through which sewage flows. Okay. Number 45, the most basic form of a dry toilet is a bucket latrine. Okay. So there. You're probably wondering why we skipped to number 61. I was confused as well until I realized this was the one that was produced by Dr. Javier. Please see the other video for numbers 46 until number 60. Okay? So for number 61, okay, the family assessment tool for number 61 is uh, the Family Lifeline, so letter B. Family Lifeline summarizes the family's history in a chronological order and includes how the family has coped with stressful life events. Number 62, the answer is adaptation, and it pertains to the family's utilization of resources available within and outside of the family system when significant life events pose a crisis. For number 63, the answer is family map. The family map is a tool designated to reflect family relationships and interaction patterns. Number 64, it is a blended family. A blended family includes step-parents and stepchildren. Number 65, the answer is a newly married couple. The transition stage of the couple from individual to couple living. So Terry and Suki are uh, starting their own family unit. Okay? For number 66, the answer is extended. Extended unilaterally with one set of in-laws and consists of 3 generations. That makes it an extended family. Okay? For number 67, the answer is the impact phase. The patient is adapting to the impact of the diagnosis uh, for the new onset chest pain for a possible acute myocardial infarction. Okay. For number 68, the answer is onset of illness. Onset of illness is the stage experienced prior to contact with medical providers. For number 69, a SCREAM resource survey, in the definition under resource versus pathology. So the family can rely on social networks but may struggle with financial and spiritual adaptation. Please see page 147 of the manual. A second order change is letter A for number 70. Transformation of Maris's role because she gave birth to her first child. Okay. Then the Beers criteria for number 71 uh, is guiding appropriate medication use in older adults. Clinical guidelines developed by the American Geriatric Society uh, to improve the safety of prescribing medications for older adults. Sorry, I am looking at my código. Okay. Now, for number 72, the answer is benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines are a type of pharmacologic agent which have which has a sedative, hypnotic, and muscle relaxant effects, and they can cause drowsiness, impaired balance, and delayed reaction time, which can increase the risk of falls. Older adults are especially sensitive due to age-related changes in drug metabolism and central nervous system function. Okay? For number 73, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs inhibit prostaglandin synthesis, which normally protects the stomach lining. Okay, so it leads to gastrointestinal bleeding. For number 74, the answer is polypharmacy. Falls in older adults are a major cause of injury, disability, and hospitalization. Polypharmacy is a key risk factor. Number 75, vitamin D. Vitamin D promotes bone strength, improves calcium absorption, reduces risk of osteoporosis and fractures if falls occur. Vitamin D also helps maintain muscle strength, reducing the likelihood of falls. For number 76, um, number 76, the no balance component should be a giveaway. Okay. Guidelines for falls prevention in older adults and emphasize exercise programs that improve strength, balance, and gait. Anything that lacks a balance component, especially high intensity resistance training, done in isolation, can increase the injury risk without effectively reducing falls. Okay. Then number 77, it's psychoactive medications. Psychoactive medications like benzodiazepines, antipsychotics, sedatives, and hypnotics, and some antidepressants are a major contributor to falls in older adults. So we recommend reviewing and deprescribing whenever possible to reduce fall risk. Then resistance training in number 78. Uh, Most effective exercise intervention to prevent or delay frailty. And frailty is characterized by decreased muscle mass, strength, endurance, and functional capacity. Okay, that's why resistance training is important for the demographics that are 60 years old and above. Okay, so I'm not just telling you these as students, I'm also telling people who are in proximity, who are listening in to my lecture or to this feedback. Okay, for number 79, the answer is 1,200 milligrams of calcium daily. Older adults, those who are 50 years or older, are advised to consume that much calcium to maintain bone density and prevent osteoporosis, which is a major contributor to frailty. Calcium is often combined with vitamin D supplementation to enhance absorption. Okay. For number 80, the answer is arthritis because of your morbidity, usually falls, fractures, and other injuries and mortality because of the secondary diseases that happen uh, due to these falls, due to these fractures. Okay, so you have complications that arise from the arthritis. Okay. Number 81, the answer is others unspecified diseases. A direct recall from page 3, the Mills-Reinke phenomenon is a historical observation that improvements in water filtration lead to a reduction in mortality not just from classic waterborne diseases, but also from less directly linked infectious diseases, highlighting the broad health benefits of clean water. For number 82, the answer is presence of coliform organisms. It's also under laboratory analysis states that the bacteriological test is the most important single test, and the presence of coliform bacteria indicates fecal contamination. Okay. Ozone is a secondary air pollutant. Air pollutants are categorized. Primary pollutants are directly emitted, like sulfur dioxide, carbon monoxide, and lead. Ozone is a secondary pollutant formed when primary pollutants like nitrogen oxides react in the presence of sunlight. Okay. So number 84, the answer is replacement. Uh, the five WHO principles include replacement, defined as changing the existing technique to those producing less amounts of pollutants, such as switching to cleaner technologies or processes. For number 85, the answer is the composting toilet. This requires analyzing the advantages of different systems, bucket type, borehole latrine, aqua privy, and the composting toilet is explicitly described as acceptable to people due to its simplicity and cheap cost. and does not involve manual handling of excreta and requires a small amount of water, making it the best fit for the described scenario. For number 86, the answer is 250,000. Specific statistic is mentioned in both page 19 and page 21, a key figure from WHO's assessments attributing these additional deaths to malnutrition, malaria, diarrhea, and heat stress. Okay. The For number 87, the answer is an immediate increase in the incidence of osteoporotic fractures. Again, the keyword is uh, this question tests the ability to distinguish between direct and indirect implausible consequences. A, B, and D are directly cited as health effects of flooding. Osteoporosis is a long-term chronic condition linked to smoking and aging and not a direct immediate consequence of a flooding event. For number 88, the answer is systemic inflammatory and carcinogenic properties of thousands of chemicals in tobacco smoke. The list on pages 18 to 19, this demonstrates that smoking harms nearly every organ system. This cannot be explained by a single mechanism like hypoxia or thermal injury. The comprehensive nature of the damage is best understood as a result of the systemic delivery of a multitude of carcinogens, toxins, and irritants that cause inflammation, DNA damage, and vascular injury throughout the body. For number 89, the answer is a huge opportunity to save lives and improve health through smarter policies. Okay. Uh, According to the WHO, addressing climate change is necessary and also a huge opportunity for public health. Okay. For number 90, the answer is interrupt the transmission pathway of fecal-oral diseases. Sanitation barrier is a conceptual measure like a proper toilet or sewer placed between human feces and the environment to prevent pathogens from reaching a new host, thereby interrupting the fecal-oral route of disease transmission. Number 891, the answer is Salmonella. Salmonella is one of the most common foodborne pathogens linked to eggs and poultry. E. coli is usually associated with water contamination along with Vibrio cholerae, usually from contaminated shellfish. Listeria, on the other hand, associated with unpasteurized dairy and raw undercooked food. The answer for number 92 is hepatitis A, which is known to is transmitted through raw or undercooked seafood and contaminated produce that causes liver disease. Norovirus is transmitted by exposure to a sick individual, while influenza is commonly transmitted via respiratory droplets. Dengue is transmitted via mosquitoes, specifically Aedes. Okay, so now we go to number 93. I'm sorry that it changed the slides. Sometimes the PowerPoint does that. But anyway, number 93, pasteurization is the answer. Pasteurization heats milk to a specific temperature that kills bacteria while also preserving nutrition. Smoking applies heat but is not used for milk. Pickling and salting do not employ direct heating methods. Number 94 is biological. Biological transmission involves pathogen development within the vector's body, then its transmission by bite. Number 95 is indirect. Indirect transmission occurs when contamination happens through handling or cross-contamination rather than direct transfer. Number 96, the answer is listeria. Listeria is commonly associated with unpasteurized dairy, particularly dangerous for children and infants. Number 97, the answer is prions. Prion diseases such as BSE, mad cow lead to neurodegenerative illness after transmission through contaminated bovine products. Number 98, the answer is high birth rates. Urbanization, environmental change, and global travel are cited as key risks, but high birth rates are not specifically mentioned increasing the risk of vector-borne disease outbreaks. For number 99, the answer is increase in bacterial growth. Storing food within the danger zone of 5 to 63 degrees Celsius encourages rapid bacterial growth. For number 100, infected handlers should avoid food handling to prevent disease transmission, so restrict food handling duties. And that is the extent of the questions that are new for this exam. Please see the other video for Dr. Javier. The rest of the questions from 101 to 115 are recycled from the previous exam. The only change I did was for number 115 itself, and it from increased from yeah, that one I changed it. Wait, just to confirm. That one I changed it just to exercise your thinking, just to exercise your brains. But if you remember the risk equation, risk equals hazard times vulnerability over capacity. So in this case, you are decreasing the capacity by dissolving the number of plantilla positions. So there are fewer human resources for health. It will increase the risk. So that's just the difference with the last question. Okay. So thank you, and see you in the next exam.